Okay, we're on week 14.1, first half of week 14, and let's look at what our lab is here. Our lab directions for the third part of your project is for you to continue entering content, and you should have a smart art, a graph or chart, and a shape. So let's see real quick how we do those. Since we last looked at my presentation here, I've made a few changes and I've added a few little bit of details to it so we have something to work with. And the first thing is a smart art. And as you see here, this is pretty boring. All of this detail is just in bullets. Well, when you look at all my slides, everything's in bullets, and that's pretty boring. So let's see what we can do here. If we take this information, and what smart art is a graphic way of presenting your information. So there's two ways you can enter smart art. You can convert what you have to smart art, which is right here on the home tab, over here in the paragraph group. See here, convert to smart art. Or you can insert a smart art. Over here on the insert tab, you can insert a smart art. If I have this information, there's no reason for me to insert a smart art. If I go here to smart art and say I want to choose this style, you have all kinds of styles here. You can see all of the styles, or you can see the list. And as you scroll over each one of them, you see there's a name for each one. There's accent list, there's a bending picture accent list, there's pyramids. Well, let's just because I just want to choose this pyramid list here, okay? Look at what happens. My text does not come over into the smart art. So I'm going to have to retype all of this. That's really a waste of time. So let's delete this smart art, what I just did. And let's highlight this box, click on the outside border, and let's go to convert to smart art. And let's do that same pyramid. Isn't that easier? So that convert to smart art makes a lot of difference. Now, if I should decide at the last minute I want to add more information, you see right over here where there's two arrows? I can open that arrow and I can click right here after my last item. And what other reason? This is always a good reason to get a certain job. And let me correct my spelling here. So you can add more to your smart art after you create it. And then if you want to close this portion, you can close it right there. So the smart art, you can change your colors. We've been going with mostly a green theme on this, so let's stick with green. I can also do all kinds of things. I can convert it to a different type of smart art. If I want to convert it, I can go back to text right over here on the far right hand side. I can also recolor pictures. There's all kinds of things that you can do at this point. But I'm going to leave this like this because I sort of like that. That's a good basis for the smart art. Also on the next slide, for the certificates of achievement, if I want to do the convert to a different kind of smart art, here is a basic cycle smart art. Or here, you can see how these overlap. Now, isn't that a lot better than just plain bullets? It makes your presentation much more interesting. So smart art is really, really great. I've moved down to slide 7 because I want to show you here the difference between a table and a chart or a graph. I spoke the other day about how to add a graph, but this table, sometimes you want to just do with the table because it's just as clear. So all you would do if you want to do that is go to Insert, Table, and you tell it how many columns by how many rows. And then you can start adding your information. You can change the color here. You can change the shading. Say I want to shade it with a darker green. And then you just start entering your information. So tables can be just as valuable as charts. It just is your preference. Now, if I want to add a shape, which is your last requirement for this lab, you can get real creative here. And what I did, you can see I've done, I've looked at the careers for the associate's degree, bachelor's, and then I looked and said, what's next after a bachelor's degree? I can either study for my CPA license, or I can get a master's in accounting. So that's, after the bachelor's degree, that's the steps that I would take next. But what I want to do here is I want to insert a shape. And if I go to the Insert tab and I go over here to Shape, there's a lot of shapes here. But the one I want to add, which I think would be cool, I'm going to add this call out down here. And once I go over here, and you can add text to this. Boy, my spelling. Okay. And I just want to add something a little bit cute. I can move this around. I can also resize the text. I can recolor the text. I can do anything that I want to here. But that's how you add a shape. I can also, you see where you have this little yellow, it looks like a diamond? I can change the position of this call out, and I can change that over there or here right between them, and see I can stretch this out. I can do that. So that's a shape. You have a lot of different shapes that you can add. You've got lines, you've got arrows. You know, you can do an arrow that you move around, so you can draw your own arrow. But that really doesn't do anything. There's a lot of things that you can do here. Okay, so that'll do it on there. There's many other interesting things that you can start adding to your presentation, and I will do different videos for those so they're not so long.